Hey guys, so this next video is a two-parter. The reason why I split it into two is because it has two main points to it, and I want to fit it into smaller videos that are easier to consume. This series is called Speed Under the Bar, and this first part is about getting lower faster. When looking at Olympic weightlifting, we quickly realize that the technicality of the pull has to be matched with the speed under the bar. Many people have decent pulls, but when the weight on the bar doesn't allow them to pull up to their eyes or some high position, they can't get underneath it. The limiting factor, of course, is their ability or lack of ability to get underneath the bar quick enough. So what we need to do is train hitting this maximal depth squat, and we need to train doing it as fast as possible. The fixated squats, whether it's back, front, or overhead squats, or any of those variations, they're gonna help with mobility, but they're not necessarily going to help you dynamically get down to the bottom of a squat. And this is because when a lifter goes from extension to flexion, or concentric to now eccentric loading, if you think about the pull, you're concentrically pushing through the floor with the legs, and then when you're eccentrically loading or after extension, the bar is coming down on you and you have to push and put force up into the bar. You have to do this rapidly, so the force change on the barbell is pretty extreme. You can think of it like a kettlebell swing. When the weight comes down, it's pretty much weightless in your hands, and now that you have to stop the weight before it hits the floor and so you can go into the next rep, the kettlebell picks up speed and subsequently picks up a lot of force, and now you're pulling against weight that is much more than the actual weight of the kettlebell. In the clean or the snatch, we see the exact same thing. So a great movement to train this is the continuous full depth squat jump. So I really like this movement to be done goblet style with either a dumbbell or a kettlebell, and this is because the counterbalance can allow us to hit the proper squat positions dynamically without slipping out or losing those positions. So the idea here is to hit maximal depth first, and this is the most important aspect, more so than the height of the jump. On the jump, you basically just try to get air under the feet and you go right back into the maximal depth squat. In my opinion, this is pretty much the knee dominant or squat dominant version of the kettlebell swing, where the kettlebell swing is hip dominant, and it's also more involves a hinge. After this, as a bonus, you can add in a full depth squat to box jumps, and that's to train the explosive concentric portion, which this is going to translate more towards the pull. But I feel like to pair these two, you can get a really nice stimulus and some good contrast training. So the squat jump is really good to build strength in the eccentric portion of the lift or receiving the lift, but it still doesn't translate to the pull under because the center mass in a snatch or a clean doesn't keep rising after extension. If you think about a jump and you extend, but the hips keep rising up. And this is why the nerd in me doesn't like to call it a jump when I'm talking technically about the lift. And that's because, like I said, in the snatch or the clean and jerk, once you extend, your hips don't rise anymore. They go down. And the feet coming up off the floor is just a result of you dropping your hips fast. However, sometimes I do use jump as a cue because the pull is similar to the jump mechanics. But mainly, I just don't want the lifter to be thinking on the level that I'm thinking. I want to do the thinking for them so that they can do the lifting. They can act on the barbell. Where the squat jump trains you to get stronger, hitting that bottom position faster, these next drills are going to teach you kind of how to hit that position from a very strict extended position, as to not jump into that position. If you're warm from the squat jumps or whatever warm-up you use, try to now hit maximal depth while moving your feet. So try to do this without jumping, just picking your feet up off the ground and landing in the squat. Again, the hips don't rise from this position, assuming that this simulates the extended position of the full lift. Then there are two technique-based drills that are very strict in nature, but they follow along with the previous drill. The first is a drop snatch, and it's essentially the same as the drill before, but this time the bar is involved and we will catch in an overhead squat. So I suggest pressing into the barbell with your hands before dropping so that you can fixate the bar faster. And remember to be very strict with this. The hips only descend and there is no heaving or using the quads or knees to lift the bar. After this, I do a tall snatch with a slight variant. I like to do this as strict as possible, basically starting the movement with pulling the elbows up, then dropping into the overhead squat. And I do it this way because a lot of times people can roll from their heels to their toes. A lot of people can still end up using their hips. I really just want us to start using the action of the arms to pull underneath. So that's the first part of this series. The next part of the series will be to try to eliminate bar crash in the snatch and the clean, and how we can fix that while using the arms and the upper body. So stay tuned for that, and thanks a bunch for watching.